have a confession about certain games and how they are created, and this ties into my thoughts on Soulstone Survivors and many other similar titles. Before we dive in, I want to explain my distaste for the default packs these games tend to wrap their hands around through the Unity store. Whether you're playing a virtual game like Second Life, VR Chat, Roblox, or familiar games like RuneScape, the default characters are easily recognizable as noobs because everybody in the community starts off with them or has them in some capacity. The game's default design scheme in this case is what we are focusing on. Many games in this genre use the same Unity Polygon pack or similar presets for character creation, but it often feels uninspired. You see, true uniqueness only comes when developers take these kits and actively modify them like you're modifying a character in a different game, like changing the hair, shirt, body proportions, and even adding things on top of others to hide the imperfections, rather than just dropping them into the game and ignoring everything that they have. These developers try their best to make it their own. I know this is a bit of a roundabout way of explaining it, but bear with me for a few moments. This specific Polygon set approach generally falls into two variants among indie developers. The first approach is leaving everything as default without any modifications. This often makes the game feel low quality, budget, and also very lazy and uninspired. The gameplay, which is usually turn-based, strategy, or action roguelikes, rarely feel different or fun when it's paired to the same visuals time and time again. The second approach takes the same design but adds on top of it purchased or self-made masks. While it does change the look slightly, it still feels common. In fact, it's no different from the hundreds of games that also do this too. The hands and other details remain identical, and it's obvious to me that the mask was a feature intended to hide imperfections or repetitive visual design to trick people into believing that it was different. Technically, it is different, but for those with an inquisitive eye for details, you will notice it's just low-effort attempts to hide everything. When a game takes a misstep like this, the rest of the experience has to pick up the slack, making the mechanics pop and truly immerse the player. Action roguelikes have surprisingly become my most played genre over the years. That makes it very hard for me not to be at least somewhat biased, since there is a mix of truly excellent titles alongside the countless trash and abandonware. Some games in this genre are relaxing and calming, while others are intensely challenging and also demanding, often paired with engaging music and memorable boss fights to keep you coming back for days. That brings us to Soulstone Survivors. While it does rely on the Unity Polygon pack, the game backs itself up with very strong voice acting, compelling story narration, music that fits each biome specifically, boss fights, and plenty of replay value for those who enjoy this endless type of grind. What's even more interesting is that unlike most action roguelikes, Soulstone Survivors doesn't just give you a few waves of enemies before moving you to a new stage or limiting the fights to 20 minutes. Instead, it offers elite arenas, boss fights, and an endless mode, all filled with visual flair and eye candy to keep you engaged for as long as you want to keep playing. While I've made my stance on the visual asset kits clear, which is adamantly a personal bias since I've seen them be used so often that they feel completely mainstream to me, the only real issue I have with Soulstone Survivors is the build diversity. I really felt compelled to experiment with different builds, or even unlocking new characters, because I didn't feel like it was exciting. Sure, slowly gaining access to more powers kept me invested for a short while. That is, until I understood the meta progression. Realistically, this is the type of game where you can play for a few hours, stack massive AoE modifiers, crit rate and damage percentage upgrades until you can practically AFK the game while raking in currencies to make it an idler. Those currencies are necessary to unlock the full roster of characters and features, which takes a lot of your time. If you're aiming for a 100% completion, especially unlocking the final character, the merchant, you are looking at somewhere between 50 to 100 hours of casual idle gameplay before that's remotely feasible. What really sells the concept here is the music, atmosphere, and its animations. It's not just a game full of placeholder assets, there's real effort behind it. The game features 22 unlockable characters, each with their own unique weapon options totaling over 100. Add into that the list of unlockable runes, skill trees, achievements, and game modes, and you've got a staggering amount of content to dive into. And we can't forget the voice acting of each individual character. It's impressive to see it bring more to the table rather than feeling lackluster. The gameplay elements and UI feel polished and deliberate, giving the game a complete package vibe rather than feeling like it's still in development. The one feature I would love to see added is an auto-select option, similar to what Conquest Dark offers. It would remove the constant pausing to choose upgrades and keep the action flowing without pausing eventually for the upgrades. Basically a randomizer mode, because later on it does get tedious to keep jumping in and out of these pop-ups, Sure, you can pause this feature, but having a proper randomizer would go a long way towards maintaining momentum instead of it being manual. If there is a setting that changes this, however, it is not very clear outside of this automation. So what exactly does this game do differently? Well, outside of the story, boss fights, and hours of gameplay with a banger soundtrack, it's still your everyday action roguelike. It offers a lot of challenge, immersive and chilling voice acting, and plenty of unlockable skills and runes to keep powering yourself up. If you've played one action roguelike, you are bound to claim that you've played most of them, but this one delivers everything you would expect from the genre without the pointless filler or hurdles. It throws you straight into the action and seems to respect your time, which is something a lot of these games in this genre simply fail to do. Soulstone Survivors is one of the more polished and well-designed action roguelikes in recent years. If you're looking for a game in this genre to sink 50 to 100 odd hours into, grinding through the intense arenas and biomes, it's well worth checking out for yourself. While I do still have some complaints about build diversity, with some of the characters and melee-focused builds feeling more interesting compared to the range options, I still find myself coming back to it, because while this may be the case, there is always another build just around the corner looking to be unlocked and played around with until you've had your fill. That alone puts it above most games that I try once and never revisit. So whether you're here for the massive skill trees, diverse character abilities, stylish designs, or just a straight to the point action, Soulstone Survivors just might be one of the best picks you can make for yourself.